Okay.
All right.
Sup, nerds? It's basketball. Welcome to Horse, a basketball podcast about everything except for the wins and losses. My name is Mike Schubert, and I'm joined by my trusted co-host, the Boston Celtics, getting false hope that they would be the first team to ever overcome a 0-3 deficit in the NBA playoffs, to the Heat crushing those hopes in somewhat hilarious fashion by blowing them out in Game 7 and advancing to the NBA Finals. It's Adam Amawala. Adam, how's it going?
Cut to the Duncan Robinson holding up his hand to his ear as if to say, I can't hear you so well, Celtic fans.
So I don't know if you saw, did you see the thing that came out today about why he did that?
No, I did not.
So he was on JJ Redick's podcast, and apparently Duncan Robinson, who grew up in New England, was accidentally added to a huge group chat of Celtics fans from his high school after the Celtics won Game 6 to force a Game 7. And he said that everyone in this chat gloating that they were going to pull off the win after going down 0-3 fueled his celebration when he did the I can't hear you thing.
That's awesome. Oh, man, I love that.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. And also, there's no way Duncan Robinson got accidentally added. Like, that was for sure one of the people bragging, being like, oh, yo, we went to high school with Duncan. Let's put him in. Yeah.
Man. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, very fun stuff. I hope he did what I would do, which is just go back into the chat and then hit thumbs up on every single comment. That's exactly what I would do, because I am a petty boy, and I think that would be very funny.
What would be even funnier is if he did that and there was an Android in the group, so then a bunch of people just got a notification that was like, Duncan liked, Duncan emphasized,
Duncan Robinson
Duncan liked, Duncan loved.
Oh, shout out to when that was you before you iPhone upgraded in our group chat.
I'm so sorry. I feel like there needs to be some penance for my sins. And it's amazing how quickly I have become annoyed by green bubble people now as an iPhone boy.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's tough, but it's also very frustrating. Now, let's talk about some basketball. In order to get ready to talk about this basketball, let's go to the place where we get centered, and that is the Teal Memorial locker room. Great soundtrack going on in the speakers in the Teal Memorial locker room. Just always playing bangers.
You know, honestly, if the team that made its home in the Teal Memorial locker room were down 0-3, I would like their chances. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's a place where you can really find yourself. Now, you know who doesn't need to find themselves because they found themselves in the right place?
I would say our patrons.
It is our patrons. Shout out to our producer-level patrons, Polly Burge, Kendra Hadley, Salvatore Testa, Trust the Process, Siobhan Ellsbury, Dunko Chasing Taco Falls, Bang, Bang, Roast Beef Debris, Denver Steam Nuggets, Anna Reed, Steph Curry watching NBA Finals 3s on TV.
Bang!
Oh, hi Trish, Nicole Arsenal, Stubby Boardman gets paid, Chase Underulo, Mr. Bubbles plays ball, and now a new name I see on this list, Naked Rachel?
Yes, that is our most recent producer-level patron, Rachel, who we got some context for this patron name. Apparently, Rachel is married to Nick, and if you say Nick and Rachel very quickly, it sounds like Naked Rachel. So that is the official patron name. We absolutely love it. And there's also one final note from Rachel, who said, I do drink Propel, lemon blackberry being my favorite, but I don't know if I could drink a hard Propel. So we've got another hard Propel shout-out. But Rachel, thank you very much for the awesome patron name, Naked Rachel, immediately moving to the top of our power rankings, I think. But thank you for your patronage. Thank you to all of you. And Mike and I promise that we're going to be boosting up the Patreon a bit. This is something that we've talked about. We're going to make it worth your while. So just planting that seed, right. That is something on the horizon.
Yes, you may be able to hear by the quality of microphone, but I'm finally not traveling the world as I have been for the past 10 months. So it is easier for me to be able to put a little bit more into things like the Patreon because I'm not figuring out things such as what time do I have to get up for this recording? So it will be nice. I'm coming to you from the in production building Schubio, the home studio,
nice.
Where my current sound dampening equipment includes some old curtains that don't fit our new windows, some hoodies and stuff for sound dampening, and then a lot of paper towels and toilet paper. So getting creative with the sound dampening, but you know, you got to do what you got to do. But yes, we're going to add more stuff to the Patreon, which will be good and fun. And if you're considering joining the Patreon, you should do it because it's a good spot. And you can do it at patreon.com/horse hoops.
Yeah, do that.
Do that indeed. Now, speaking of supporting us, we also get support via sponsorship. So let's talk about our sponsor for this episode, Shaker and Spoon. Shaker and Spoon is a delivery kit service that will send you all of the instructions and ingredients to make 4 servings of 3 different cocktails that all use the same alcohol. All you need to do is provide the alcohol. They provide you with everything else in a nice, cute box. And the recipe cards are really nice and pretty as well. And you can make fancy drinks for yourself, your loved ones, your friends, whatever you're doing. I mean, look, the NBA finals are coming around. The WNBA season just started. Maybe you're going to have some watch parties, and maybe you want to look really fancy and cool instead of just picking up some beer. You want to make some drinks and stuff. You can do it with Shaker and Spoon. And by being a Horse listener, you can use the coupon code that we've got. If you go to shakerandspoon.com/horse, you'll get $20 off your first box, which is about 50% off because they usually cost between $40 and $50. Pretty solid deal. shakerandspoon.com/horse.
Yeah. I feel like it pairs pretty well with an NBA Finals game, does it not?
I think it does. I think it does indeed. Now, before we get into other things, such as things that Adam and I have going on in the world, you'll hear some advertisements by some sponsors who make it feasible for us to do this and make money from it. So you'll hear a couple more ads that get inserted, and then we'll get back to the episode. And now we are back. Adam, you got anything fun going on in your life? I know you got an LA show.
I do. So if you're listening to this the day it comes out, I will be performing tomorrow night in Santa Monica at the Crow Comedy Club. It is a great venue that Schubio was at earlier this year. He can attest to it. The owner, Nikola, is one of the loveliest people in the world, possibly. Really, really great person. And if you are in the LA area, I would love for you to come out. That's going to be at 8 o'clock on Tuesday, June 6th. So please, come out, get tickets. It's cheaper if you buy tickets in advance. So I think if you're basically in advance means other than at the door. So you can still get access to those cheaper tickets. And the big piece of news is that the show that I was the lead in, we interviewed Bobby Friedman, the writer and director recently. Undercover Comic is now officially streaming on Amazon Prime Video. It is happening.
I know what I'm doing tonight, baby.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. So it's on Amazon Prime. You can purchase each episode for 99 cents or all 6 episodes for $5. So not a lot of money there. It will, we believe, eventually be streaming for free on places like Roku and Tubi. But for the moment, it's on Amazon Prime. It costs a little bit of money, but I think very much worth your $5. And I'm incredibly proud of it. And I look forward to hearing what people think.
That is awesome. I'm so excited. Yeah, we just recently put together all of our couch and TV and stuff, so can watch it. That'll be super fun.
Binge it. It's like an hour and a half, and that'll be that. What do you have coming up? I know you got some live shows on the horizons here.
I do. I had some other shows recently, which was super fun. Got to do Seattle and Canada, but now I've got a run of stuff in the Midwest in June. So Cleveland, Detroit, Toronto on June 14th, 16th, and 18th. Then Hartford, Connecticut, July 15th. And then Chicago, Milwaukee, Minneapolis on August 7th, 8th, and 10th, respectively. Then later in the future, we've got DC, Philly, and New York, but tickets are not live for those yet. But if you want to get tickets for any of the other cities I mentioned, you can go to Schubs, schub.es/tour. And that is that. So I think now we could get into NB Q&A.
Yeah, let's do that. We got a question from one of our listeners, Dan. The subject is coaches in the NBA. And the message is as follows. Hey, Mike and Adam, I love the podcast. It has really sparked my love for basketball over the past few years. We love to hear that. My question is about coaching in basketball, I guess more specifically in the NBA. From your perspective, what are the roles of a coach/assistant coach of an NBA team? How much do they participate in the overall scheme? I feel like coaches often become a scapegoat when teams aren't doing well and can be let go of easily. As a Sixers fan trying desperately to trust the process, we just saw Doc Rivers let go despite an overall amazing year. But another coaching legend like Pop can be with the team forever. What can a team hope for in a great coach? How much can they be to blame if a team doesn't meet/exceed expectations? Looking forward to hearing your thoughts. All right, so a lot to digest there, but I guess let's start with the assistant coach question. What I always wonder about as well, Dan, so you're not alone here, there are so many people on these staffs that I'm always like, what does that person do? Because there's like 12 people seated behind Steve Kerr, or whoever it is, where I'm like, is that like just the free throw expert guy?
Yeah, so I actually read a really interesting book about the Suns called 7 Seconds or Less. It's about one of the Suns teams in the mid-2000s. I want to say either the 05 or the 06 Suns. And it was basically just an author just following around the team, just writing about what happened for a whole season. Very Trent Crimm if you're watching season 3 of Ted Lasso. So that book gave me a lot of insight as to what assistant coaches do. And usually you'll have like one guy who focuses on the offense, one guy who focuses on the defense, and then smaller roles for some of the specialists. Like I think the Warriors might have a guy that's kind of like just a Steph Curry coach almost. So you'll have some more specific things, but usually you've got the head coach who kind of oversees everything. You have an assistant that does offense and defense, and then you'll have other ones that will like look into specific things. Then you get other smaller jobs where you have people that are like looking at the film of the games and like putting together stuff. Sometimes those are assistant coaches, sometimes those are like video coordinators and stuff like that. So it can really vary. And then I guess as far as like what they actually do, it really varies from team to team. Some teams are very scheme heavy where they have lots of plays. Like the Warriors run a lot of plays and Steve Kerr is the mastermind behind a lot of them. Other teams, you might just kind of have particular just like approaches you take. I think Tom Thibodeau kind of does this with the Knicks where for the most part, we're kind of just like either doing pick and rolls or some isolation plays. Like it's not a lot of strictly you run here, you go there, you stand here kind of things.
Right.
And a lot of that can depend on the roster and what players are on your team. So it really, really fluctuates. And I think that coaches oftentimes are very important. And you'll see things like this Heat team has no business being in the finals.
Right.
But Eric Spoelstra is a really smart coach. And I think that is where coaches come into play the most, is in the playoffs, because that's when you're playing the same team at least 4 times in a row. And that's where you're studying things and you're trying to decide which of our players should defend their players. I think when it comes to like matchups and trying to thwart what the other team is doing in the playoffs, that's where like coaches really shine. And that's why you will see someone like Doc Rivers, who does great in the regular season, still lose his job because of failing to advance in the playoffs after multiple years.
Right. Yeah. And there now is kind of this revolving door of veteran coaches where like Nick Nurse has now been hired by the Philadelphia 76ers, who coached the Toronto Raptors to their championship in 2019. And people just kind of like bounce around. But to go along with what Mike said, it really is a team by team basis. And in some cases, it is a little bit like American football, where you have almost a version of like an offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. So for the Bulls, and I think he was also around for the Lakers runs, when Phil Jackson was the coach, his assistant coach was Tex Winter. And Tex Winter is the person who literally invented the triangle offense. So like he was ostensibly the offensive coordinator for those teams. But yeah, to go back to what you're saying about Spoelstra, what's incredibly impressive about Spo is that he has coached so many different kinds of teams. And you look at someone like a Phil Jackson, and what Phil Jackson is most revered for is managing egos, right? He was at the helm of teams with Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan. He was coaching Kobe and Shaq. Spoelstra has done all of it, right? Spoelstra has been there when it was LeBron and Wade and Chris Bosh. He's also led this team of, honestly, a bunch of misfits in addition to Jimmy Butler to the finals now. And that to me is the sign of a truly great coach, is like not just being able to do one thing, but being able to do a lot of things. So generally speaking, yes, I think coaches are scapegoated unfairly because they're just the easiest person to let go, rather than like, we're going to blame one player or, you know, we're going to blame some like lesser known coach. But I do think there is a lot to be said for coaches being that X factor in terms of like what you can get from a certain group of players.
Yeah, I think it can really put your team over the edge. And it's something that becomes very important, as I said, come playoff time, which we are in. And it's exciting. Really excited for these finals. But yeah, thank you for your question. That's a very fun question. Now, we'll very briefly get into full court press. Get it? Like the news? You did. That was a head nod because Adam is dealing with the siren problem, but we trudge forward. Now, there is some stuff to discuss about the finals, but we do touch on most of it in the interview that will close out this episode. But very, very briefly, just for context clues and everything, the Denver Nuggets sweeped the Lakers 4-0 to advance to the NBA Finals. And it was very funny because LeBron James, just so that people wouldn't talk about the Lakers getting swept, which is embarrassing, he pretended, I mean, this is all me conjecturing, but he acted like he might retire from basketball, which very successfully flipped the narrative from, oh my God, the Lakers just got swept, to LeBron might retire. Like, no way. Absolutely no way at all. I think he fully did that just so that people wouldn't talk about getting swept.
You might be right. I don't think that's that much of a tinfoil hat theory. And frankly, it's pretty shrewd if that was intentional on LeBron's part.
Yeah. And then on the other side of things, you had the Heat go up 3-0 against the Celtics. That's embarrassing for the Celtics already because they were the 1 seed and the Heat were the 8 seed, and they almost didn't make it into the playoffs because they almost lost to the Bulls in the play-in. And then the Heat went up 3-0 and it was looking real bad. And then the Celtics won 3 games in a row, looking like they were going to pull off the thing that no NBA team has ever done, which is overcome a 3-0 deficit. But then, the Heat blew them out at home. They won by about 20 points. It was very embarrassing for the Boston Celtics and their fans and high-profile fans like Bill Simmons. And it was just... it's just something that happens, and you can't bet against Jimmy Butler. He's just always going to fight through. And he did say last year when they lost to the Celtics in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals, he said, we are going to get into the same position and we are going to fight through. And then they were literally in the same position and fought through. Jimmy Butler is such a menace. I wonder if they lost those 3 games intentionally just so that his prophecy could come true.
I don't know about that, but I will say Game 6, the ending to Game 6, it will kind of be one of those weird footnotes in NBA history because of the fact that the Celtics ultimately lost. But for anyone who didn't see the game, the Celtics were leading for most of the game. This was in Miami. Then the Heat came storming back, down by 2. Jimmy Butler gets fouled shooting a 3. He calmly makes all 3 free throws. And with, a couple seconds left, the Celtics inbound the ball to Marcus Smart. He shoots a fadeaway 3. It rims out. And Derek White, just right place, right time, jumps up, taps the ball in with 1/10 of a second. And I'll be very interested to see how much people remember that play 5, 10, 20 years from now, because I think it's one of those things that would be so much more meaningful. Like if the Celtics went on to win the championship, that would be talked about forever in Boston and NBA history. Even without that, it's still an all-time wild moment in NBA history. And a lot of people, when that happened, were like, there's no way the Heat can possibly come back from that. I mean, imagine being 1/10 of a second away from the finals and it gets taken from you, and now they're going back to Boston. But look, Spoelstra, amazing coach, Jimmy Butler, amazing leader. And then you had guys like Caleb Martin step up, who are role players who just had absolutely huge games. And I tell you what, hell of a series. And we're going to talk about it a lot more, but anyone who's a basketball fan should be very excited about this finals matchup.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Also, in other news, WNBA season has begun, and it's off to a very fun start if you root for the Sun, the Liberty, or the Aces, because you're kicking butt. The Wings also playing really well, as prophesized by me. I think someone asked either in an NB Q&A or something like a year or so ago. Someone was like, if I'm going to root for a team, who should I root for? And I was like, the Dallas Wings traded away a lot of players and got a bunch of picks. They're going to be good in like 3 years. And here we are. So the Wings are fun. My Storm are not doing great in the post-Sue Bird, post-Breanna Stewart era. But we do have an Australian player on our team named Jade Melbourne, and she's good. And that's all you need. That's all you really need.
It is. And I also do have one slight but very important update about the WNBA from one of our patrons. Alex Lauder writes in just with the all caps, Red Panda. And it just says, at the Connecticut Sun home opener, and Red Panda is dazzling us at halftime. I bet she was.
It's Red Panda. I would imagine she's going to be at least one finals halftime show. But as I will always say, she should be the halftime performance for every single, there should never be a day in which basketball is played where Red Panda is not doing her routine at halftime. That is just, if she's not booked, it's a mistake by the collective basketball world, because it's just so electric to watch her unicycle 1,000,000 feet off the ground and flip bowls onto her head. It's, exactly what's going to happen, and it doesn't get any less cool. I can't express how cool it is.
Listen, if Jimmy is a bucket, Red Panda a bowl. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. I mean, they should legitimately market that. I went to a Washington Wizards game for our buddy Josh's bachelor party, and it was the ticket even said, and they had it on the billboard outside, after the game, Ludacris concert. And you stayed in your seats, and Ludacris did a 30-minute concert after the game. It was wonderful. It was fantastic. He played all the hits. But they should do a thing where it's hey, by the way, halftime, in baseball reference, when teams are it's bobblehead night, or it's replica bat night, or it's cap day, or whatever. Or the Mariners once, they did Fedora night. Ugh,
oh boy.
Big yikes. Big oof there. They should do a thing where it's hey, Red Panda's the halftime show at this one, and the tickets should cost 12 times more.
I'm totally with it.
So there is other news. Coaches are getting fired and hired all over the place, but we can talk about that when there are not as many basketball games going on. But to close out this episode, let's have a very fun interview with some very fun folks that Adam knows from the comedy world. And I know one of the guys from our electric softball team, which is, we're just going to make a huge playoff run. 2-time defending championship.
I'll be honest, I was raking last night. I was raking.
Dude, you had a triple, you had a double, you had some plays at first. I had interesting thing where it was like we'll
call it a single and a triple, won't we?
I got on base twice, but it was mainly because the defense was poor, but I'm not going to argue with it. Look, I'll at least call it a single and a double because I got to first base before the first baseman missed the throw, and then the outfielders didn't touch the one I hit into the outfield, and technically it's not an error.
Except for the man somersaulting backwards on his attempt to catch it.
That is the one thing I do wish, but I will never allow myself to do it. I'm one of those guys that just run super duper hard, so I never look at the ball and see what's happening. So I usually have to ask people what happened, and I hit this ball over a guy's head, and according to Adam, the guy completely banana peel slipped.
It was bad. It was like SportsCenter not top 10 sort of stuff.
Well, I'll take it. We got a big win. But if you live in the New York area and you want to see a team absolutely kick some ass come through.
Yeah, we're just not plugging our shows anymore. Just come out to Central Park and watch us play softball.
We're going to game at Heckscher Field to 7 p.m. But yes, we got a very fun interview. We actually did it before recording this, and it's a delight. So if you want to get insight into rooting interest, especially if you don't have a team to root for between the Heat and the Nuggets, this could be your guide. Listen to the fans. We have a representative from each team. And if you want to cheer for the same team Kelly is cheering for, you can root for the Denver Nuggets because at the beginning of the season, I bet a bunch of money. You know how we had those free bet things from New York? Mm-hmm. I did that at the beginning of last year, and then I made $250. But then because of the whole betting thing, you have to bet the money again before you can withdraw it. So I made a bunch of $5 bets at the beginning of the year because I looked online of what's the most surefire way to not lose money gambling. And basically, if you just make a bunch of $5 bets for things that are about even odds, you will just break even just because math.
Right.
So I did that, but then I made a couple of home run bets, and I was like, I think the Nuggets are good. They might win. I bet $5 on the Nuggets to win the championship in September.
Ooh.
And now I'll make $85.
Yeah,
if
let's
they
go.
win. So Kelly is a very passionate Denver Nuggets fan right now.
Oh, amazing. Well, we're going to throw to the interview now. We haven't talked about this yet. There's a chance that Mike and I may be doing some extra Patreon posting after some of the finals games when we're able to. We did that a couple years ago.
We've done it in the years past. I think we should keep it going. Yeah.
So we'll do our best to do that after each game, even if it's just a 5-minute, hey, this is what happened. But anyway, time for the interview now. I think you folks will really enjoy it. Okay, so as we mentioned, we are doing what we did last year, during which we had Josh Gondelman as the Celtics representative and Dan Yang as the Warriors representative. We've got two comedians here to defend their case for who is going to win the NBA Finals. Now, arguing the Heat side of things, we have my good buddy. He's a great comic. He also rakes. We play softball with him, Schubert and I. And also, he's recently on Amazon Prime. We got Evan Hernandez in the house. Evan, how you doing?
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me. It's good to be here. Doing well. Excited to get this series started. It's been a good run for the Heat, so let's do it.
Hell yeah. And we also are joined by another good friend of mine, very good basketball player, actually. I got to be honest, pretty smooth, Jay. Pretty solid jersey collection that you'll see at a lot of shows, but I'm burying the lead here. He's a great stand-up comic and also an Emmy Award-winning writer. James Hamilton in the house, huge Nuggets fan. How you feeling, James?
Yeah, I'm feeling incredible. I've never experienced this in my life. I am regularly having reality checks where I'm going, is this a prank? What's happening? This is a very special time. I was married in the last year, and this rivals that. And maybe not really. I've already alienated everybody on the pod, but I am very excited.
James, I can relate to this because I got married in 2016. The Cubs won the World Series in 2016. And for years, I had to be like, well, the Cubs winning the World Series was my second favorite thing. But then, and I don't recommend this, but I got divorced, and now it totally is. It's like an easy number one. So it all worked out.
Yeah, well, you know what they say about a sports championship is they can't get rid of that in court. They can't.
That's true.
They can't divide the assets.
What sports have brought together,
except for NCAA
no man shall
titles.
divide.
That is true. That does happen. Yes.
So very excited to have you both here. Now, it's kind of a different fandom for both of you. So I think the best way to start is to just give us a little context in terms of your love for each team, your knowledge of each team. Evan, I'm going to start with you because you did provide us some context before that you wouldn't consider yourself like a diehard Heat fan, but obviously you spent a lot of time in Florida. You know the Heat well. So give us some background.
Yeah, definitely. So I can't say I'm the Heat's number one fan here. My fandom of the NBA since I was a kid has kind of been as a whole. So for the last 20 years, it's been just I kind of pick teams based on some qualities that I like and kind of just follow those teams through the years. The Heat were not that until kind of recently, although I spent a good half of my life in Florida. It was the Heat. They got to the finals in 2020, and it was a very different Heat team that I saw in high school and early college with LeBron and Wade and Bosh and the Heatles and all that. Just that was a lot of the qualities I pick my teams are based on is kind of, unselfishness, kind of underdogs, kind of they play hard. So that was not necessarily the Heatles of before, but this is a team that kind of exemplifies those qualities, and that's why I've kind of been backing them since 2020. It's my team out of the East, so that's kind of the background.
Yeah, and I'm guessing, sadly, and this makes me feel old, but are you kind of too young to have appreciated like the Dwayne Wade, Shaq Heat team that won the championship?
That is when my family first moved to Florida out of New York. That's the first team I saw down there when I got there. So I did get to see those teams, Cool. Fortunately. So those are pretty cool. Again, generally my NBA general fandom has been because the New York teams are at least kind of tough to root for. So for the casual fans of this podcast, you can absolutely go cafeteria mode and buffet mode and just pick, every few years like I do, because I've been doing it for decades. So feel free.
Well, that's very much on brand for kind of how we tell people to become fans who listen to this podcast, because the whole idea is that it's people who aren't necessarily huge basketball or sports fans. And people will write in sometimes and be like, who should I be a fan of? And we usually are like, well, if you want drama, there are certain directions to go. If you want to root for certain players, you can go that direction. But James, over to you. I feel like you being a Nuggets fan is a not insignificant part of your personality. Like, it's something that I've known about you even before we really knew each other very well. So I assume that you're pretty much a lifelong here. What's your origin story?
Yeah, I grew up playing basketball. I was convinced that I was going to be a professional basketball player, which, for as nice of the things that you said early on, was an incredible pipe dream, incredibly unrealistic. But I held on to that until probably freshman year when you play in high school and you're like, oh, I'm going to come off the bench, huh? So I always loved basketball, and the Nuggets were my first love on that. I grew up in Colorado, so it was an easy thing to get into, but I grew up at the time of the Dikembe Mutombo Nuggets, the Jalen Roses, the Mahmoud Abdul-Raufs, and LaFonso Ellis. If you don't know this time period, the Denver Nuggets were the first 8 seed to bump a number 1 seed in the playoffs. So they were these incredible underdogs. It was very thrilling. They walked so that the Heat could run now. That was the team that I was into. And then to make a very long story short, then we went through some very painful years, like historically bad teams. And I was a fan through all of this, would go to some of these, would take it very personally, thought it was my own fault that the Nuggets were winning 11 or 12 games a year. They were very, very bad. Eventually they got Carmelo Anthony and made their way back to the Western Conference Finals, which was very thrilling, and then returned to some difficult or middling times. And then the Jokic years started, which has been a thrill to watch. And even at this point, it's not necessarily surprising that they're this good, but I do think that they've kind of become this good that quickly has been really fun to be part of. But yeah, I think it's a big part of my personality. I have like mini Nuggets jerseys. I have my original Nuggets starter jacket from when I was a kid that still fits, because luckily we wore clothes very large at that point. So yeah, it's a big thing for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we'll share a link to this, but there's an iconic video. So the Denver Nuggets were the 8 seed against the number 1 seeded Seattle Supersonics. And side note, let's please get men's basketball back in Seattle. That needs to happen. We talk about it all the time, but that needs to happen. But there's a fairly iconic image. This was when the first round was best 3 of 5. The Nuggets came back and beat the Sonic. And in game 5, Dikembe Mutombo is like laying on his back, like shaking the ball above his head. And as a young basketball fan, even though I wasn't a fan of the Nuggets, like that image is kind of seared into my brain. And I'm sure it is for you as well, James. So I'm honestly, like, just as a fan of Bulls and Mike is a fan of the Knicks, like I think we're both super excited about this series because I wouldn't be mad at either team winning. Like, yes, the Heat have won 3 championships in my lifetime, but like this Heat team doesn't even resemble those teams, so it almost doesn't occupy the same space in my brain. And for Denver, I mean, they've never been to the finals, right? So they're an exciting team. They're arguably like one of the most slept on number 1 teams ever, and I'm sure your opinion is like, let people sleep on them all the way to a championship.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's definitely been what's happening. At every point of the playoffs, there's been a moment where an announcer on TV, someone who's paid probably millions of dollars to do their job, has a moment where they go, wow, the Nuggets are good. And I'm like, what have you been watching this year? This is a very, very good basketball team. But much like the Heat, I think the Nuggets function well with a bit of a chip on their shoulder. And I think we have 2 teams this series that have a bit of a chip on their shoulder. The Heat, obviously, because they're an 8 seed, kind of exceeding people's expectations. But the Nuggets as a 1 seed that everybody kind of wrote off early on. So it's, in that regard, I think it's going to be a very fun series.
Yeah, I also think what I'm branding this final series as is the how can you not like this guy finals with a Jimmy versus Jokic, where if anyone said they didn't like one of those guys, I would be very suspicious of them. Like, Jokic is just such an interesting star that seems like so unfazed with all of the drama of basketball. He just like wants to hoop and like doesn't even care that much. And then Jimmy Butler is like the complete opposite, where like he wants to murder everyone at all times. And it's very fun for those to be like the 2 stars going against each other. It's going to be a very interesting dynamic.
What I love about the difference between the 2 star players, and let's not, sleep on Jamal Murray here, but obviously Jokic and Butler are kind of the headliners, is that when I look at Jimmy Butler physically, he has the appearance of someone where I'm like, if I exercise 20 hours a day and never ate a carb, I would still never look like that. And then I look at Jokic and I'm like, if I only ate carbs, I still wouldn't look like that. And they're both still so good. And I appreciate that Jokic is a little more relatable that way. I mean, there's a reason the guy was a 2nd-round draft pick. People didn't think he would either have the physicality or wasn't in shape enough to play at this level. And he has just shown year after year that he is, I think, certainly, if not the best player in the league, a top 3, top 5 player. I mean, you see it in the MVP voting. He easily could have won again this year. And what do you guys think in terms of like who will be kind of the stars of the series? Do you think it will be Jokic and Butler? Do you think it'll be more kind of secondary players? Where do you see that falling?
I can go first on that one.
Please.
I think that Jokic will be the star here. I think Jokic will be the star for 2 reasons. Number 1, I think he can't not be. I think he's too good. I think that he does everything on the court. So even if he's not scoring, he's running point guard, which is incredible because he's 7 feet tall and about 300 pounds. And he's also going to get 15 to 20 rebounds every single game. So like he's going to be right at the core of everything that the Nuggets do. I also think that, for people to watch out there, like the Heat are probably going to dare Jokic to beat them, and they're going to try to make it so that everybody else on the team is guarded really tightly. That's what a lot of the other teams have done in the playoffs, where they're going to say, all right, Jokic, we'll just let you go one-on-one against Bam Adebayo, who the Miami center, and we're just going to let you do this, but we're going to take away your ability to pass. So I think my hunch is that we're going to see some very high-scoring games from Jokic. That's my guess.
Yeah. Evan, what do you think? Do you think this will be the Jimmy Butler series, or do you think the Nuggets will be like, let anybody except Jimmy beat us?
So I think Jimmy Butler has to have a few Himmy games in him for the Heat to win this series. I mean, I understand this is, it's a 4-1 probability here, but I think at least 2 of those games has to be, Jimmy going Himmy and getting at least 45. But I think the key to this, and James kind of touched on this a little bit, is Bam Adebayo, the center, the 6'10" center for the Heat. He is going to be the one guarding Jokic. His offense kind of went away in the last 2 games against Boston. He is the key to the Heat's game being, their offense being layered. And that's a big piece of the Heat's offense, is a layered game. It's not just chucking threes. The reason they get such good looks is because of their inside-out game that they play with Bam. And if his offense gets going, and if he can stay with Jokic and get his switches onto Jamal Murray, because I know they're going to be running some sort of pick and roll with that, I think that definitely he's the key to it. And if he has a good series, and there's a couple Himmy games, it'll be those two that'll take the heat all the way.
Well, he has filed for a trademark for Himmy buckets as of today. So if he does get that application approved during the finals, we could see the before and after stats, and maybe that would be the fuel, knowing that legally no one else can sell merchandise with Himmy buckets on it.
Yeah, he's got to come out with the clothing line during the finals. There's going to be no better promo than coming out with a Himmy bucket shirt before the game or whatever.
Himmy buckets blend of Big Face coffee. Like, the merchandising opportunities for Jimmy, if the Heat win, it's going to be off the charts. Like, and that's why I think it'll be fun. Like, I think this is interesting, and I wanted to ask the two of you about this in terms of fandom. You know, like, what will this mean for either the fans of the team or the city that the team is from? Like, obviously with the Nuggets, as you'd mentioned, James, like, they had such struggles for so long. This is their first time in the finals. A lot of people sleep on them in terms of being this top contender. And then the Heat have just had this like wildly improbable playoff run. So I feel like either win is going to be this big story of, oh, this is really cool. So I guess just for the two of you, like, if your team wins the finals, how do you think the city will appreciate it? What will the fans be like? Is this just going to be kind of like Adam with the Cubs, where it's like, we won one, it doesn't matter anymore, like everything is gravy? How's it going to go down?
Yeah, I think for the Nuggets fans, particularly the lifelong Nuggets fans, I think it will be sort of the first one will be very much a like, okay, well, we got that, and so I don't really care what comes after this. That was incredible. Not only have we kind of suffered through some very bad teams, we've also suffered in a decidedly football city. It is definitely the hometown of the Denver Broncos in every single way. And so it's not that there's a tiny fan base there. It's just that they're kind of always overshadowed by what the Denver Broncos do. I also think that if the Nuggets win, it's also significant for many smaller market basketball teams. So I think that there are a lot of other smaller markets that are watching and are interested because, you know, the Nuggets in Denver is not necessarily a destination for, you know, free agents and for these huge names to want to go. So the idea that the Nuggets have kind of built this team from scratch, and we've all watched them come of age, like literally watched some of these people since they were 19 years old, and we're watching them turn into stars in front of our eyes. I think it's huge for us in terms of emotional buy-in. I also think that like it is going to be big for other smaller market teams, just like I think when Milwaukee won, I think it was big for smaller market teams. And I certainly was cheering for the Milwaukee Bucks when they won, simply because I was like, here is a similarly constructed team with a star like Giannis, that they have worked to put people around this one star and work to evolve with him over the course of his career.
And Evan, what about you? What do you think this would mean to the fans of Miami? Would they stay for the whole fourth quarter, or would they leave and then try to come back in? I mean, how will this play out?
Yeah, the notorious Miami mistake. They're great fans of Miami, but a notorious mistake, I guess, that they made in Game 6 of the I believe of the 14 finals, 13-14 finals. They left the game early, and the Heat ended up winning the game, which then led them to win their last championship. But no, I think the Miami fans are great fans of basketball, and this would mean a lot to them. But I can't pretend it would mean nearly as much as it would to Denver. I understand, there's been 3 titles this century, but definitely Heat fans would appreciate it from a different perspective and I would too, from a different perspective, that this is a different team. This is not these star-studded teams that the Heat have previously won championships with. This is a win for coaching. It's a win for Eric Spoelstra, who's the best coach in the NBA right now. He started in the video room. Now he worked his way to be a coach. I mean, it's just a hell of a story. It's also a win for roster construction.
Yeah.
I mean, this team has, the last 26 drafts, the Heat have had to make only 14 first-round picks because of all the moves they made previously earlier in the century and earlier in the decade. So they've had to do this largely with undrafted players. The Heat are really a team that is zigging when the rest of the NBA is zagging, to a degree that the Nuggets as well, where they're kind of only doing this with one star, with Jimmy Butler, and then just a supporting cast of kind of discarded or really underrated NBA players. So I think it's a win for roster construction, that there's more than one way to construct a roster, and you can win still with grit and grind. This is a grit and grind team, similar to the Memphis Grizzlies and 14 that can score and that can shoot threes. So I think it's a win for coaching and for roster construction.
The Heat, as you will hear on the broadcast, roughly 87 times per game have a lot of undrafted players, and I think every single game they're like, oh, look at all these guys who weren't drafted. But even their star Jimmy Butler, he was the 30th pick in the first round.
Go Bulls.
They truly are a team made up of guys that were, underrated, slept on, passed by, and then the Heat, for whatever reason, however they found them, turned them into legitimate players that are going to get paid big bucks in a couple of years. So good for them.
Yeah. I was going to say, I feel like, if you are watching these playoffs from afar, you're kind of watching an ESPN site, there are a lot of like big name pundits and announcers who are going to kind of spin this as like a sad finals for the NBA, just in terms of you don't have the Lakers, you don't have the Celtics, you don't have the Bulls, and you don't have stars of the magnitude of LeBron or Giannis. And I just think that that's categorically incorrect. Like, I think that the storylines here are so compelling. If you are here for drama, if you are here for backstory, like every player here has a backstory that is like compelling and like moving, and all of them have overcome the odds in one way or another. I mean, like some of the Nuggets players like Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., who are the second and third leading scorer, both of these guys within recent memory have had nearly career-ending injuries in which they were told they might never play basketball again. And so, like, even those, players have overcome something. Like, the storylines here are so thick and so compelling and dramatic, and no matter how the series plays out, like, there's a lot to love here just in terms of being a basketball fan.
Yeah. I tell you who's got a backstory is Markieff Morris. Oh boy, quite a story about a back.
Yes, yeah, not the proudest Denver Nuggets moment.
No, I mean, in fairness, Morris did start that fight. If anyone's wondering what we're talking about, Markieff Morris got into it with Jokic. What was that, last year? I feel like that was the beginning of last season, or 2 years ago.
I think it was 2 years ago.
And then Jokic shoved him in the back, and he missed. It's not funny, but he missed like a decent amount of time because of whiplash, I think was the official.
I think general rule of thumb, I wouldn't provoke someone who is the size of a literal bear. Like, he's 7 feet, 300 pounds. Like, maybe get into an argument with someone smaller. I wouldn't upset that man.
A thing to watch for with the Nuggets is that Jokic's brothers, these two guys, come to many of the games. They were at that game. So this, fight is kind of breaking out on the court where Jokic has now run into Morris's back, and, Jimmy Butler is screaming at Jokic from the other side, like it's chaos. And then there are Jokic's brothers in the stands trying to come on to the court, and they are larger than their brother. So Jokic's brothers are bigger than him. They're gigantic Serbian men trying to push their way onto the court. And they are fixtures at a lot of these games. In some ways, probably not how the NBA wants, because they will try to fight if you get into it with them. But they're also like beloved by a lot of the Nuggets organization. When the Nuggets made the finals, they made their way down to the court and were invited onto the court and picked up the Nuggets coach and like carried him off. And these are like men who are, 7'1", 7'2", picking up the small Nuggets coach. It was a sight that I didn't expect to move me emotionally, but somehow it did,
Now, is there any chance they would be open to being hired to keep Ja Morant from his friends? Is that like something they might be?
I think, Ja Morant would benefit from these guys, because if you hear Jokic talk about things, I think his brothers must keep him on the straight and narrow, because he doesn't have any extra stuff in his life. There was a clip recently where somebody was like, what have you learned from being a father, and has it helped you at all with basketball? And he just goes, no. It hasn't.
Yeah.
He's like, the only thing that it's done is like remind me that basketball isn't the most important thing, that you have these other things that are more important. And I was like, well, that's actually a yes. It did teach you something, but but I love your style, and yeah.
Now, to get back to something that Mike and Evan were both talking about with all the undrafted players on the Heat, I want to ask both of you a question, and this is my way of conveniently shoehorning in a Bulls reference. Who did, the Nuggets only lost 7 games in Denver this year, and the Bulls were one of those losses. So I kind of feel like if the Nuggets win, that really means that the
Raise
Bulls
the banner.
are
Raise
the champions.
the banner.
Because if they won, But all that aside, I want both of you to give me your nomination for what I am calling the John Paxson Steve Kerr Award, meaning who on the Nuggets or the Heat, who is not Butler, Adebayo, Jokic, or Jamal Murray, which lesser-known player is going to come up big, hit a game-winning shot, have some sort of dramatic moment? Who's your nomination? I'll start with Evan.
I'm going to go with Caleb Martin here. He's the the standout from the Eastern Conference Finals. He's another undrafted player, a 6'6" forward from Nevada, who been on a few teams. His identical twin brother, Cody, I believe, is still on the Charlotte Hornets. These are both like 8-point per game kind of guys, and then Caleb Martin goes off for 20 points a game in the Eastern Conference Finals. Which, real quick, if you were his identical twin, it'd be like, what the hell, man? I'm the same guy, literally and genetically, that you are. His brother's probably like, why can't I?
I'll tell you why. Because the Charlotte Hornets infrastructure is crumbling.
Yeah,
that is true. They are the leading candidate to go back to Seattle, I guess,
Probably.
right? If there was a team. But I would say it's going to be Caleb Martin. He just had such an impact in the last series, and they're trusting him to start now, and they're giving him some really big shots and really big opportunities. So if Tyler Herro doesn't get back in time, which will allow for the audible to be him, if he gets back by game 3, it's going to be look out for Caleb Martin in this one.
I just want Herro to suit up again so we don't have to see his stupid fucking outfits every game.
That's true.
There's only so many bucket hats
bad.
I can tolerate on the sidelines.
well, there's only so many bucket hats in the world. He might be running out. He's worn so many different ones. He might be running out.
He is a bucket, but as far as a bucket hat is concerned, I don't love it.
Yeah. My answer would be Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. I feel this way for a couple of reasons. Number one, he's a great defender. I think that we will probably be putting Aaron Gordon on Jimmy Butler a lot, but I think Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, or KCP, is going to get some time there. So I think he's a great defensive player. I think he's kind of turned into our veteran leadership, which is crazy because he's probably 31 years old. But he also is just a great shooter. And he is kind of, if we're talking about storylines, he's had a really great one, which is that he was on the 2020 Lakers champion team. And he was a contributing member of that team, an important member of that team. And then they shipped him out to bring in Russell Westbrook. He was part of the people that got sent out and not valued in terms of what he brought. So this last, Western Conference Finals was kind of a redemption tour for him. It was him hitting 3 after 3 after 3 on the team that had given up on him. And I think that that's going to continue. I think KCP is a very good player. He's a good leader. And also when you watch him, he's the type of guy who benefits from how good Jokic is at passing, because KCP is very smart. He knows exactly the spot to go, and Jokic will find you there. And Jokic is now the tallest player on the floor without a doubt. When you look at the Heat's roster, they don't have anybody who's going to be taller than him. So he's going to find people like KCP who are just going to be hopefully raining threes, much like the Steve Kerrs and Paxtons of the past.
Love it. All right. Well, I think, Mike, unless you've got anything else, I think the time has come to get the official prognostications and predictions here. James, I have a feeling you're going to be predicting the Nuggets. I want you to tell me how many games the Nuggets are going to win in and why that's going to happen.
I'm definitely picking the Nuggets. I'm picking the Nuggets because it would be betraying a part of myself if I didn't. But I do think, I think the Nuggets win in 5.
Wow.
Which is a hot take.
I love it.
I think the Nuggets are an extremely good basketball team, and in a way that just like they're made to function at the highest possible level no matter what is thrown at them. I think that they adjust well. They come out of half times well. Like, they're really well coached. Jokic is effectively a coach on the floor. I think they have so many things working for them. I think they're peaking at exactly the right time. I don't think they're going to sweep because I think that Jimmy Butler wouldn't allow such a thing. And I think that the Heat have too many pieces. I have a deep love for Kyle Lowry, who will be coming off the bench for the Heat. I think they have too many pieces to let that happen. 5 is maybe slightly wishful thinking, but I'm going to go Nuggets in 5.
Okay, now before we get to Evan's pick, I'm going to ask you to consider something, James, that I know you don't want to, but this is a fill in the blank for you. If the Nuggets lose the finals, it will be because of blank.
If the Nuggets lose
the conspiracy
finals,
of the NBA, they don't want the small markets to win.
The script.
The big time media has finally gotten their way. All Nuggets fans do think that way. So a little bit. All right. If the Nuggets lose, it will be because of Eric Spoelstra, which is the Heat's coach.
Yeah.
I think that if anybody can figure out how to slow the Nuggets down, if anybody can figure out how to throw Jokic off of his game, it is Spoelstra. And no one else has been able to do this. And for me, we have played more talented players than Jimmy Butler. We have played people with a similar will to win, and we have triumphed, but we have not faced a coach of the level of Erik Spoelstra.
That's fair. I mean, other than maybe Greg Popovich, give me a better coach in the NBA.
Yeah.
I don't.
And weirdly, he's won 0 Coach of the Year awards, which is
Spoelstra?
Yeah, he's won 0.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's one of those, like, it always ends up being like most improved team is the person who wins Coach of the Year. So,
Right.
that is genuinely wild that that's the case. Evan, I'm guessing you're not going to go Nuggets in 5, but who do you have here?
It's not going to be the Nuggets in 5, but based on the side I am going for here, I'm going to have to take the Heat in 7. If they win this series, I think it's going to be a 7-game series. There's no way the Heat get it done. Less than that, the Nuggets are a really good team. They're the best offensive team in the playoffs. But I think if there's a team that can defensively figure them out, it's going to be the Heat. It's going to be Erik Spoelstra. It's going to be all the switching they're going to do. Bam can guard. He can really get out on the perimeter. And obviously the other guys can guard every position. So if they switch to the zone, I mean, they have a lot of things to work with. I think they're definitely going to probably lose game 1 because of just the rest factor going to Denver, the altitude. I think that's going to be a big challenge. But I think if you can split games 1 and 2, hopefully you get Tyler Herro back in game 3. That's your second leading scorer from the regular season. Again, he's buckets and bucket hats, so that makes a huge difference. So I think that with a good game from the supporting cast, from the rest of the supporting cast, I think defensively they should kind of make Jokic pass because it's kind of a pick your poison with him. He's either going to put up his triple-double somehow, make him pass, and play the percentages and hope these role players for the Nuggets can't hit their threes. Yeah, let's go Heat in 7. Let's see it.
I agree with both of these takes. I think that it is conceivable to think of the Nuggets winning in a shorter series. It is very hard to imagine like a Heat in 5 scenario. And look, the Heat have proven everyone wrong the whole playoffs. And I say this truly not as like shoehorning in a Bulls reference, but people forget like the Bulls were up by 5 points with 2 minutes left in that play-in game. Like butterfly effect of it all. The Bulls for sure would not be where the Heat are. Let me be clear about that. But like, I'm honestly glad that the Bulls lost that game so that we have all, as basketball fans, gotten to see the Heat do what they've done over the past month and a half because it's pretty miraculous. Now, Evan, same question that I asked James. I think most people agree that the Nuggets just have more talent, but same deal. Fill in the blank. If the Heat lose this series, it will be because of what?
It's going to be because the defense couldn't contain the Nuggets offense. I think it's going to be, even if you contain Jokic and he gets held to 25 and 8 and something like that, it's because the players around him all hit their threes and they shoot over 40% from 3, which they're definitely capable of. I think that's how they get beat. I think if Tyler Herro doesn't come back or he comes back like game 5 or 6 where like it doesn't really make a huge impact, and the offense is struggling, Bam is struggling, I think that's a recipe for this team.
All right, I have one final question just out of curiosity for James, because Evan, I know that with the Heat, you've got some big Miami celebrity fans such as Pitbull, Mr. Worldwide, Mr. 305, and also DJ Khaled, who says his name a lot. But for Denver, who's the courtside like celebrities at the Nuggets game? Are there any? Is Elway in the mix? Like, who's there?
It's always Broncos. That gives you a feeling of what the vibe in Denver can be. It's like I remember going to games and it's like Von Miller's on the sideline, or Russell Wilson is definitely going to be on the sideline. He's been on the sideline for a lot of this.
Oh man, I think you should pay him to get away.
I mean, he does belong on a sideline, to be fair.
Yeah, it's where it's where he should be. So I think that's. I mean, the big one is that they're going to be people like that. I think that's when ESPN and these, as we're making fun of the like media for not knowing how to cover us. I mean, the one thing that we definitely don't have is celebrities sitting on the sideline. Now, I'm sure it'll be like a Colorado Rockies player who like came up through the farm system and is hitting 230, but like, I'm sure he'll be there too. But, I don't think people know what to make of that. So,
Mike, it's funny to hear you mention the Heat fans like Pitbull and DJ Khaled, because it occurs to me like the Heat are known for doing like the white out, like everybody wear white. And Miami's probably the only city where most of the fans are like, we were already wearing just white. Like we did not do anything differently than we would have. This is just what we wear.
Mm-hmm. We just showed up in our clothes. Oh, it's a thing now? Oh, okay, cool.
Oh, you got one, James?
Yeah, there is. I just remembered this. There is this electronic music / rap group called 303. I don't know if you're...
They're from Denver and they go to the game.
Is that the Denver area code?
Is the Denver area code.
Yeah,
but theirs is 3 OH exclamation point 3. 303.
Yeah.
So we got 303 versus Mr. 305.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what it is. 303, I've seen them perform at numerous Nuggets games as we're saying this. I've seen them do the halftime show. They love the Nuggets.
Nice.
It is painful to me because it is like if you imagined what a musician living in Denver, Colorado right now looks like, it would be two white guys who are like aging and are like still into electronica sort of like rapping styles. And so it's pretty humiliating, but they will be there. Yeah. Keep an eye out.
Too many dank nuggets.
That's
too many dank nugs. That is true. That is true.
Oh man. 303. I saw them at Warped Tour when I was in high school. Yay!
Yeah, they will be there.
Oh, good.
Incredible stuff. Well, any parting thoughts? I mean, I feel like we've covered a lot here. James, Evan, you got final words before we let you do your plugs?
I don't, as a rule, cheer against Jimmy Butler. I think that there's too many reasons to cheer for him. He has overcome like kind of too many times of people saying that he couldn't do something. And so I don't cheer against him. I also think it is unwise to root against him. He will punish you. I've said many times before that Jimmy Butler is my favorite player who I would not want to hang out with at all because I think he probably like is constantly testing his friends just to see how tough they are and like, you know, seeing what their spirit is all about. But I don't cheer against him. So this is the sort of thing where, you know, unlike if we were playing the Celtics or something where I would have a bit of a fire against the other team. This is really just a pro Nuggets moment for me. And this is just enjoying that moment.
I love it. Evan?
Yeah, two quick things. Speaking of the celebrities on each side, let's not forget the Miami celebrity who's on the team, the veteran Udonis Haslem, who has been on this team since 2006, since I was about 11 years old. It is Dwayne Wade's city, but if there's a 1A beloved in that city, it's going to be Udonis Haslem. I mean, if all goes horrible for the Heat, I mean, at least hopefully they get him in and he can just be UD, even if it's for like 3.5 minutes.
I'm just glad you didn't mention Marlins, man, because I know he's going to be there and is all orange, and I just can't stand it.
That, and then lastly, I want to know how excited all of you guys are to see the definitely that's going to happen, the mistaken bets of betting a triple-double, Nikola Jokic, but it's actually instead mistakenly putting Nikola Jovic on.
What a treat. I didn't even realize
definitely
that.
going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Jovic, Nikola.
Probably get some better odds
matchup.
on the Heat player.
I think so.
Yeah.
Given that he's played about 0 minutes.
I was going to say, how many minutes has he actually played? That's a good one. I hope that comes true.
Well, I tell you what, we've got quite a series ahead of us. When I was texting James before Game 7, we were both saying, like, yeah, you would not want to be facing a Celtics team that's just made history and come back from 0-3. But on the other side, it's a little intimidating to be facing a Heat team that got punched in the face in Game 6 the way they did and came back and won by 20 on the road. Like, that is a team that is well coached. That is a team that is not afraid of anything. And just as a fan and someone who wants to see basketball keep happening, I would love a 7-game series, but we shall see how it plays out. But thank you to both of you for your time. This was a ton of fun. Evan, let me start with you. What do you want to plug? Where can people follow you? What do you got going on?
People can follow me at Evan Hernandez Comedy on Instagram. What is going on? We have Cuba Libre Comedy, a weekly comedy show that I produce in Brooklyn. We're out at the Kiwanis Treasures Boathouse every Friday. It's a free show. We got drinks out there. It's always a good time. Got a rotating group of comedians, so come check us out. Follow us on Instagram. Yeah,
Sure
thank you guys for having me.
James, take it away.
Yeah, you can find me. Instagram's probably the best spot. At the Jam Ham is where you can find me there. I have an album recording at Union Hall here in Brooklyn on June 16th. 2 shows that night. So I'd love if anybody's looking for a good show. Vanessa Gonzalez.
And there's no finals game that night. Good scheduling.
There's no finals. Yeah, I would have had to call off this culminating moment for me if there had been. Yeah, Vanessa Gonzalez is a very funny comedian. She'll be opening for me. So it's going to be a really fun night. And that's June 16th at Union Hall.
Love. And I tell you what, for any bagel enthusiasts out there, James Hamilton, maybe the best follow in the game. I mean, Bagel Saturdays are a thing.
It's a big thing for us. Yeah. Happy Bagel Saturday ahead of time.
It's a big thing. To those who celebrate, we want to be respectful.
Yes. Yeah, of course.
Of course.
But thank you both very much. This was a blast. And, go Heat, go Nuggets. May the best team win. And let's do it again next year, huh?
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Horse Horses, hosted by Adam Amawala and Mike Schubert. Our editor is Kensei Soramaki. The music is by Bettina Campamanes. The art is by Alison Wickman. The website is by Kelly Schubert, and the social media is by both of the Horse Boys.
Thank you to our producer-level patrons, Polly Burge, Kendra Hadley, Salvatore Testa, Trust the Process, Siobhan Ellsbury, Doko Chasing Taco Falls, Bang, Bang, Roast Beef Debris, Denver Steam Nuggets, Anna Reed, Steph Curry watching NBA Finals 3s on TVs.
Oh, not this commercial again. Bang.
There's no way Steph eats Subway. Come on. Hi, Trish. Nicole Arsenal. Stubby Boardman gets paid. Chase Underulo. Mr. Bubbles plays ball. And, of course, Naked Rachel. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Horse Hoops and on Twitter at Horse_Hoops because
Horse Hoops was run by the guy who added Duncan Robinson to the group chat. And it's like, come on, Trevor.
We know what you're doing.
Come on, Trevor.
We know what you're doing. No, you know what? It's Boston, so you know his name's just like Jonesy or Smitty or something stupid.
His legal first name is Trevor, but yes, he's actually
Bobby or Robbie or Tommy.
Oh, man.
Amazing stuff. But go to our website, horsehoops.com, for links to some of the fun stuff we talked about today, including maybe some Red Panda content and Dikembe Mutombo celebrating in the playoffs.
In such a wonderful uniform. I have that Dikembe Mutombo Nuggets uniform. It's the greatest jersey of NBA history of all time. If you want to support the Horse Boys, you can go to patreon.com/horsehoops. You can get jerseys, stickers. I will actually be mailing those out now that I'm back and I have them. So you can go and get digital things. You can also get bonus content. Like Adam and I said, we'll be doing stuff for the finals, and we're going to get better about posting things such as overtime. I recorded a voice memo for something that we didn't even talk about in Full Court Press, and I predicted this. Carmelo Anthony retired, and it made me feel emotional. So I recorded a 15-minute thing of me just walking as I made a grocery run and talking about Carmelo Anthony, because it made me feel conflicted emotions, because he's been a big...
It's funny when you retire and everyone was like, weren't you already?
It's sad. It's sad the way the NBA works, and I understand why teams do it. It's just more logical to take a gamble on an undrafted young guy than it is to like get a veteran old guy. But it would have been cool if he like went out with a bang. There were talks that the Knicks were going to do it, and then we were too good this year, so we couldn't do it. It would have been super fun.
Yeah,
but
I get it.
Shout out to Melo. Stay Melo forever, except the L is always a 7. But you can go to patreon.com/horsehoops to do that. You can go to horsehoops.com/merch. You get Stuff Nerds shirts and digital items and stuff like that. You can get the horse theme song as your ringtone. Good stuff there. But we're going to close out this episode by saying something on the count of 3. What are we feeling? What are we feeling?
Okay, so it seems like just for financial purposes, you might be leaning more Nuggets. I am still a Jimmy Butler purist, really.
Yeah.
I love the guy. I mean, I got to see him start to bloom into what he is now. So why don't you give us a go Nuggets? I'll give us a go Heat, because honestly, we're all winners here, and we're just lucky as basketball fans.
How about we roll with it? And what if we say go 7 on 3? Just because the way we all win is by having maximum basketball. So I think on the count of 3, we say go 7.
Yes, one slight note. I'm going to need a go 7 triple overtime.
Okay, cool. So on the count of 3, we will say go 7 triple overtime.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you want more basketball when you've already gotten more basketball.
Got it. Cool. So go 7 triple overtime on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Go 7 triple OT, baby!
Look at that free basketball. Just like you and I went to that baseball game and it went to the 14th inning. Free baseball, baby. Let's get free basketball.